Welcome to another brand new episode of the 3 Dot Podcast. My name is Bogzy.
I'm D Buster.
And this is what the conversation does not stop. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world listening to us on Spotify. Maybe you're watching on
the YouTube. The YouTube.
Maybe on the TikTok,
Instagram. Clips.
You know, it takes a lot to catch up to do all these platforms, man.
There's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
And it's just us. We don't have...
Yeah.
We're not... Well, you know, obviously we're not big enough to hire a crew.
Yeah.
It's just we're using our production skills to figure this out.
We would like to hire Marcel, that child who commented
you
motherfucker.
Keep bringing that shit up.
No. You want to be the intern? Your boss will be Goose.
Oh,
the guy that hates him the most.
No, that's gonna be all bad.
Speaking of Goose, he's absent.
He's not here. He's not on this episode.
I guess we're kind of lying, that the whole 3 Dot Podcast is here.
Oh no, yeah, we're figuring it out though. I feel like we're finding loopholes and little small areas where we can get together. You know,
right. And don't forget, we also have Chaotic in the back. Say hello, Chaotic.
Yo, what it do?
It's your boy, Grubby Chaotic. But anyways, guys, yeah, I guess you could say, without Goose, we're kind of cheating.
We're cheating here.
We're cheating.
We're calling ourselves the 3 Dot.
We're calling ourselves a 3 Dot, and
this is the 2
We're
dot.
typically 2 and the, what do you call yourself? Chaotic hyphen?
The 2 dot.
Semicolon?
And the
semicolon, right? But that is the topic of the day. Not necessarily cheating on
partners,
but we have a particular one: cheating in school.
Because we're a bunch of fucking cheaters.
Were you a cheater in school, man?
On some topics.
Really?
I am terrible at spelling. And
so you mean spelling? So you mean to tell me your ass was cheating
in grade school? Yes. In grade school, you were
cheating in the first grade.
Probably second grade and beyond. Second grade and beyond. One, because I hated trying to memorize spelling words.
Oh my!
We would get a list. We would get a list of like 12 words. Or 12.
I'm glad you brought this up because I got a story, but go ahead.
Yeah. We gotta get a list of words. I don't know, maybe like 12 or something, right?
Were you ever in the spelling bee?
No.
Okay.
I sucked. I was terrible. I still am terrible. I rely so much on autocorrect. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Speaking of cheaters, the Joker was a great villain.
Earthquake.
He always cheated death. And he cheated Batman. Anyways, that's a whole another different episode. The first season, something knocked down. And now the second season, something knocked out. I can't wait for season 3.
Dude, this thing will fall apart.
You're a bad speller.
I'm a bad speller.
Can you give me a word that you remember, like as a kid?
Neighborhood.
How'd you spell it?
Like I always nay, like N. I don't know, NAY or something like that. I was terrible, right? Like I never really learned what's the word where there's a word for it where it's like the GH sound.
Like you're not really saying the G, but it's like
it's
silent.
there.
Yeah, like neighborhood. Yeah. There's no G in neighborhood.
Yeah, right. But it's there, and then I'm all like, it never clicked in my head.
Right.
Why?
Right.
So or like the TION.
Right.
Like that, those kind of words. Cause I was
that's the ones that got you.
Yeah. It messed with me. And I'll be all like, all right, cool. If you can't properly, cause they always tell you, oh, sound it out. And then when you try to sound it out, it always ends up wrong anyway, because it's got some silent bullshit on it.
Right.
Like knife.
Do you see the kids today on like ESPN with these national spelling bees? Some of these words that they're spelling, man.
Oh, what the fuck?
Redunculous.
Yeah.
I have to backpack off this story because you brought up the spelling bee. I know
you brought it up.
Okay.
But I brought up spelling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You weren't in the spelling bee, but I have a spelling bee story.
Well, let me finish my story on cheating because you didn't tell me how I'm going to cheat.
Shit. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, go ahead.
What the fuck?
How the hell did you cheat on neighborhood?
Okay, this is how I did it, right? We would always have, this is when before we had to clear the table, right?
Yeah.
We'd always I put my backpack right on my desk.
This is first grade?
This is maybe third
grade.
fourth,
Little Dave, I bet you had a big old backpack that was bigger than your
I had
noggin.
a big ass backpack, had all my books in it, right? So I had my backpack on my desk,
Was it
right?
JanSport?
And I'd be like, I would just put it up, and then
You were that kid.
and I always have some kind of little piece of paper right underneath.
I did that too.
Yeah, and then or like the teacher would be like, Dave, I'm like, huh? What's going on? And then, I believe I got caught.
You did.
I did get
You're
caught.
a bad man.
Yeah, and then I always do the, whenever we're allowed to sit wherever we'd want, I'd always sit next to the smarter person. And then I would always try to be like, move my chair a little over when we're doing like math tests and stuff like that. And then I
cannot believe this because the way that you're describing yourself as a cheater, you and I were similar.
It's very common. I feel like those are like.
There's tiers to this, man. There's tiers of
I've seen some like next level cheaters.
Oh yeah.
I've had whatchamacallit. I remember I had to James Bond some shit. Oh, we had the desks that had like, where you put stuff inside of it, right?
The one with the lids that open?
No, not the lids.
Or just the one that slides in.
They're just like the normal platform desk.
Yeah.
And then there's a little like lower part, like a shelf.
Yeah.
Underneath the desk where you store stuff.
Yeah.
I would somehow like, you'd get like some kind of notes, right? Or
right on the desk.
I did write on the desk, that part. I also had like another piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I would put it underneath like that little shelf part.
Yeah.
And then when the teacher's not looking, you would pull it out to be like, oh, is this one again? There it is. And I'd copy it down, put it back in, just be like, continue on my day. I also had, let me tell you another, this is the most epic strategy ever. I had notes underneath my desk. And then I would drop my pencil every now and then look up.
You would drop it?
I would stick notes underneath my desk. And then I'll be all like, whoops, drop my eraser.
You're a pathological cheater.
Drop my pen. And then be all like, all of a sudden, I would pick it up and then.
Teachers hated you, man.
No.
They didn't want you in their class.
This is when if I didn't know something, if I didn't study. These are way. I feel like everybody's cheated in some.
Oh yeah,
it's
even
impossible
the
not to teach.
Even the smartest person.
The smartest person had cheated at some point. These are the methods that I have used, and you've been in school for a long time. It's not just like I'm cheating in one grade. It's just over time. These are the methods that I've used.
Can I backpack on the spelling bee
real
quick?
quick?
This has nothing to do with cheating, but I have to backpack off it. I know Chaotic knows this guy. It's a homie back in community college. His name was Renell. He was in my spelling bee in the elementary school. I had to bring it up because it's a funny story. Okay. He had the easiest word in the spelling bee. It was mug. M-U-G, right? He gets up the stage. Okay, Renell, mug. Renell, he looks to his left, and this is how he did. This is how he did. He went because it was the easiest word. Yeah. He goes mug, M-O-G, mug, and then he realized he fucked up, and he was like, oh. And we were dying, bro. And Renell back in, shout out to Renell, man. That's still my boy when I see you in the streets of Daly City. Back in the day, he's really sensitive. So some people would bring, oh, mug, huh? But he would start crying.
Oh no.
Yeah. But I had to bring up the spelling bee. But oh yeah, I was a pathological cheater in school as well. I want to say,
what were your methods? Same shit I did.
No, well, one method was I would have like a, how the calculators had a cover. Yes. And you can put the cover behind the calculator and it can slide. Yes. A lot of people put their cheating notes on where it slides. So you can slide it up. Oh, there's my notes. Slide it back down. I remember in my history class, Mr. Harmon, I know he knew I was cheating, but he never could never catch me. Yeah. But the thing is I'm very good at, I know when someone's looking at me. And so when I was doing my test, and Mr. Harmon, he had big specs like this, almost like this. He had big specs, he had big eyes, and I can see him looking at me. And every time he looked at me, I just looked at the ceiling. And I remember at one point, he started looking up at the ceiling. Does he have notes up there? And then I remember at one point, you know, he just caught me just looking up a lot. And then I know he knew because he goes, Brian. He just nods at me.
You know, he knows you are, but he doesn't know. He can't figure it out.
He can't figure out how I was doing it.
Yeah.
But that's one way. The you know, the whole little note in the calculator. I remember some kid in class. He had some sort of it wasn't a G-Shock. He had some sort of thick ass digital watch that allowed him to type in notes in there, and he got caught.
Damn.
Yeah. He got caught. You know who also got caught? And I'm going to talk about this kid. Hopefully I can bring him up a couple times. And he was the biggest video game nerd in my elementary school. His name was Jason Beloso. He's actually a manager of a GameStop. He got cheated by his Game Boy. I did. Yeah. But which one was the Game Boy where you can start drawing on it?
The DS?
Yes. He got caught with his DS.
Really?
The teacher thought it was
so smart.
The teacher. Here's the funny part.
Oh, it's not smart if you got caught, but
the teacher thought it was, you know, like a calculator.
Yeah.
They didn't know any better. They were like old people.
Yeah.
This fool forgot to turn off the volume, so when he turned it on, you just hear. And then some kid across the class was like, "Is that DS?" And Jason just goes hella red, and he's like, "No, fuck, man." Miss Constant, our teacher at the time,
fucked up.
And then she came over. She's like, "Jason, what is this?" She picks it up. She's like, "Oh, look at that! You're picking this up at the end of the year." End of the school. I had a Game Boy taken away. I had one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the school year. You go on Miss Constant's desk. She had about 5 different Game Boys from Jason Beloso. And he did it every semester. He did it. He was a hardhead. But that's how he used to cheat. Mm-hmm. He used his Game Boy. I mean, I think that one of the slickest ways, and this is back in the day too. Obviously now people have ChatGPT. People have fucking God, man, like
it's easy mode now.
It's easy mode now. But I knew a kid. He had a lead pencil, and he had bits and pieces of binder paper. He wrote his notes in the paper, and he spindled it in the lead pencil. Yeah. So that way he can open the cap. You know, you can open the eraser. That's where your lead's. But he pulls out his note.
It's clever.
Some MacGyver shit, man.
Yeah, that's clever.
I seen him do that. But have you? So you've been caught.
I've been caught. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just all elementary.
What was your
stuff.
punishment? What happened?
Just you have to redo the test.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't even get like a flunk?
No, you would either fail the grade, or they just redo the test.
I want to say my biggest cheating moment in my, I'll tell you this much, man.
I just remembered one of my moments where I was cheating. It was one of the speed multiplying tests.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Where you'd get like your times table sheets, and you started with like, you know, your ones times table, your twos times table.
How did you cheat on that?
I would, my friend, she was better at me at multiplication, or she figured it out. Like every week you got an opportunity to like level up, right? Yeah. So you're like, everyone would be all like, "Oh, what multiplications are you on right now?" Like I'm on 8, right? Yeah. I'm over here stuck at like 4, like my 4 multiplications. And I was all like, "Hey, give me your paper," because it's the same paper. Yeah. It's just like, "Hey, give me your paper," and then we would all be like, "Hey, like what number are you on right now?" They will look at the sheet that you're on and be like, "Oh yeah, you're stuck in 4s." They would give you your 4s. It's the same paper. Right. I borrowed my friend. She would give me hers. Yeah. And then I would put it as an overlay. Oh my God. I would lay it on top. As soon as the teacher's back's turn, I would overlay it, and it's kind of see-through. I was all like, "Just make sure you put your like use pen or something so it bleeds through, or not bleeds through, but you can see it." Now that you bring up these stories, like I'm starting to like remember some. So, I mean, how many classes do you think you cheated from? Because I can tell you, for me, and I remember this specifically because it was the highest GPA I have ever had. Okay. And I know my mom watches this shit, and she's probably about to be so disappointed in you. But in the 4th grade, I had 3.8 GPA. God damn. I had a 3.8 GPA, and a lot of it had to do because I sat next to Nena Ibanusi, who's one of the smartest girls in my class. And I remember, you know, she was those type of girls where I didn't have to ask her. She knew I was looking at it. This is her. Oh, she would lean it over. She would see me looking, and she would catch me, and she'd be like, and she moved her paper even closer to me. She used to do that. Oh, she's a homie.
Yeah, she did that. She did that for a whole. I think in elementary school they split it in quarters, right? 4 quarters. Yeah. One of those 4 quarters, I remember open house night. Here comes my mom, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" She's like, "Brian, 3.8."
Wow.
Yeah, I think at that point in my life, I thought I was ready for Stanford and Berkeley and Harvard and all the greatest schools in the world, but no.
Those schools would eat you alive.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't go there.
Oh my god.
But I do also had experience of kids catching me look at their shit and they're like, "Dude, what are you doing, man?" Like they used to
Stingy, dude.
They used to cover up. And here, the funniest story of all, I forget one of the kids, but I look at his paper and he knew I was cheating. Okay. And then after we were done, he stands up and he goes, "You're not gonna learn that way, dude." And he made me feel hella bad, right? I was like, "Fuck, dude. All right, guess I should start studying." And then the next time we had a test, he looks at me and he lets me look at his test, and then he's like, "It's okay, man."
It's good. He felt bad.
So I felt bad. He felt bad. But I never really had a bad experience, like, looking at someone's paper.
Yeah,
I guess per se.
Yeah, you're slick with it.
Yeah,
dude.
Well, I was also friendly.
Let's put it on the other foot. Has anyone ever cheated off you?
I'm glad Goose is not here because whatever I'm gonna say right now, he's probably like, "That's bullshit."
Was it Goose? Was it fresh?
Look, man. I there were some strengths I had in class.
Okay,
and I think one of those strengths was I used to remember all the 50 states and their capitals.
Oh, damn.
I used to know. I had if I didn't have a 100% on that, it was a 49. It was, I forget what the score. It was like a 99. It was up there.
Yeah.
It was up there. I was that type too. If someone wanted to look over,
you're cool with it.
Like, hey, we're all one troop. We all got to pass. Mm-hmm. Here, come look at my shit. Mm-hmm. I've always been open to just letting people look in. But the thing is also, I've also let people look at my stuff and it was wrong. And so we would both get identical scores. And I remember my teacher would come up and she was like, "I need to talk to you two because look at your scores."
Yeah. Oh, yes.
She'd be like, "You guys have identical scores. Were you guys cheating off each other?" We're like, no. She didn't have any proof. Mm-hmm. There's no cameras back then. You can't tell. No. But she could tell by the score. And she was like, "Okay, well, next test, you guys are sitting apart, sitting apart from each other." But have you been like the smart kid?
I have. People have cheated on me, but I've gotten to the point where, I've also been called out and be like, "Have you guys been sharing answers or whatever?" Because our answers would be very similar. I've also had moments where I'd be like, "No, don't cheat off me," because I didn't like the person. I just did not like the person. Yeah. I was very like,
"Oh my God.
I'll give you this, right?
Stories are coming up right now, man."
Like, I would let you like 80% of the time.
Yeah.
If you were a girl. If you were a girl.
Buster.
And I'd be all like, "Hey, let me see your paper." And I'd always look at you and be like,
"I got you, baby. I got you." Exactly. I got you, girl.
Like, "Hey, yeah,
let's fail together." There used to be a kid in my Spanish class who never did his homework and he never studied and he always cheated. Mm-hmm. This was one moment where I got pissed because I'm like, this guy doesn't do anything, even for me, a guy like me who barely studied. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? And he started cheating off me. I was passing in that class. Yeah. Full colors.
Yeah.
I purposely wrote the wrong answers on my test.
Oh, fuck.
And so that way he can follow it. And when he got his grade back, he was like, "Fuck." I was like, "Yeah, that's what you get, man."
Habitual cheaters.
Yeah. He was a habitual cheater, man. I was a habitual cheater from fourth grade till community till university.
Dude, I mean,
regardless, it didn't stop, man.
Depending on how much.
Right.
I think everyone's, like I said earlier, everyone's a cheater in terms of like their academics or whatever, because sometimes you just don't have the time and you just got to get past it and you got to get enough grade and you're like, "It's fine. I'll make it up later."
Desperate times call for desperate measures, man.
Bro. Dude, if you're having like a fun ass week or you go on vacation.
Yeah. You don't want that. You don't want a test to ruin it. A test can ruin your day. Yes. Chaotic. Did you ever cheat on your tests in school?
Yeah, actually, I was just waiting for a time to chime in. But
go for it, dude.
No, it was actually a spelling bee thing too.
Okay.
But with this story, I turned myself in. I didn't get caught.
He turned himself in.
again.
So this was like in third grade or something like
Okay.
that. There's like this thing that we do like before the spelling bee, like just to see who's like qualified to be in the spelling bee. And then it was like me and some other dude. And then the word was Arctic.
Oh,
And I was like, ARCTIC. And then I got it, but I cheated because I looked at the wall and I saw Antarctica.
That's the guy who knows
And
his
then
surroundings.
I
He's
basically
very aware.
won it, but then I felt so bad because I'm just the type of person that just like, I can't.
I
do
didn't
I just
deserve
turned
it.
myself in
His
and said,
guilt.
He deserves it, not me. And then so my friend, I think it was Michael or something. He's the one that got the spelling.
Damn.
But-
There you go,
Damn.
man. We're a bunch of cheaters, man. You know, I do want to give.
Compared to that, we're a piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
We're a piece of shit.
Oh yeah. And look, I remember this specifically in community college. Shout out to my friend Kyle. He was this white kid, punk rock star, and he always loved to have what are those things called? Cough drops. He didn't have a cough.
Okay.
He just always had it, like chewing it, and nobody talked to him
Mhm.
because he looked kind of weird. You know what I mean? He always came
Okay.
in with sunglasses and stuff.
Okay.
But I was that kid that it doesn't matter how you look like or how you got a friend in me as long as you
Yeah.
ain't too weird. He was one of my friends in that class, and he was one of the smartest guys in that class. And that was one of the reasons why I befriended him, because he had the highest.
You understood.
I understood the assignment, and I
Yeah.
understood what he was there for, and his purpose was to lead
Help you
Bogzy
pass.
to victory.
Yeah.
And I remember,
Get your ass to the next grade.
he sat right in front of me, and he was that guy. Just he looked so lazy, always chewing on his cough drop. But he finished the test fast, and then he'd see me. I remember the first time he let me cheat. I was just like, damn. I would purposely like kind of exaggerate my body move. I'm like, fuck,
Yeah.
like and then Kyle,
Yeah, you're struggling.
and then Kyle was just like, psst. And then he'd move his elbow up, and then he showed me his answers. Kyle. I remember.
Hey,
I remember one day Kyle got so pissed because there was just so much work that he just slammed this book and he walked out of class. He came back the next day normal, but I remember our teacher was like, "You must have been having a day." But a shout out Kyle though, because he was someone I ended up befriending, and I talked to him every day. Look, when I be friends with people, here's the thing: I'm not only befriending people to
Use
just to
them.
get to use them, but that's a friendship that I will never forget.
you hold
So-
on to those.
I'll hold on to those. Did you have a Kyle?
I did not have a Kyle. Actually, no, there was a Kyle.
There was a Kyle.
There was a Kyle. Shout out to this guy named Alan Wu.
Alan. Okay,
Alan
he's smart.
Wu.
I know he's smart.
He was very smart, but he was socially awkward.
Okay.
But I went down the different path. I
Mm.
made fun of him.
You bully. You son of a bitch.
Yes. Dude,
Damn it, man.
look, when you're tiny growing up, right?
You bullied him for answers.
No, I didn't bully him for answers. I didn't. No, we didn't.
He was tinier than you?
He was no, he's bigger than me.
Oh my God.
No, he was not
You
that big.
buster.
But when you're small and you had an opportunity to get power from something,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, everyone made fun of him because he was socially awkward.
Goose would be proud of you right now.
But no, I regret it now. I wish him well, and I really hope he's like a CEO somewhere. But
Probably is, man. I think a lot of the people that we did cheat off of or probably do so. Nina Ibanusi worked in the White House. I didn't know what she did. But she was working in the White House.
dude, we're dropping so many names that probably.
Let's just find out.
It's whatever.
I don't talk to her anymore. It's
Okay.
fine. And people are like looking her up. How do you spell this
There's
person's
probably like
name?
a bazillion, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Was there like ever a time where you felt like if you didn't cheat, you were going to fail? Because I felt that in many of my classes.
I'm sure.
Did you feel
there
that
have
chaotic?
been, but
Did you feel that you had the need for speed? Did you feel that you had to like? I gotta look at this guy's paper. I gotta look over, man.
all the time, dude.
Yeah.
But it's either I would do that and just cheat, or I would just fail it. So
dude, sometimes you just gotta, dude. I don't know. I would always bank on makeup work.
I feel like having a retribution story now because when I was at state,
Mhm.
there was my first semester ever. Not a lot of people know this. my first semester ever, I got pulled in my counselor's office at the end of that first semester. And she told, I think I brought this up in a podcast episode, but she goes, so this is your GPA. And I was like, oh. And she's like, this is where we need you to go. And I was like, okay. And she was like, if you're not here by the second semester, literally, this is what she does. Shh.
Cut.
She does that.
Yeah.
I'm not even lying with you. Of course, I cheated here and there, but that was after that talk, the most I've ever studied.
Damn.
I was going to 24-hour libraries. We were going to 24-hour Starbucks. Pretty sure Chaotic was there for a few of them. Yeah, Goose was probably there for a few of them. Finally had to grind. But, you know, to each their own, man. You got to get there. As, you know,
I think as I got older, I cheated less. I just became a little bit more like I'm not getting away with, like, this isn't helping me in the long run. I recognize that.
Yeah, I did too.
I think one of the things though that I remember cheating was when I was learning programming. And then this is when I got caught, where this was in college and I was learning programming, and then programming's hard, right? So you have this big ass book when didn't have, you know, like GitHub or like resources online.
Right.
It was just all books. And I was learning it. Damn, I really aged myself there. It's all books.
Kids even get books these days, man.
No, dude,
get iPads.
It's all. Have you heard of was that vibe programming?
What?
Yeah.
No.
It's pretty much just you put a question in ChatGPT and it gives you just some kind of,
I don't know if
it builds it for you.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys seen this one kid who just graduated from UCLA.
Well, let me finish my story first.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is where I got caught and I realized programming was not for me, where we had to do, like, the teacher gave us a bunch of problems to solve, right? Through programming.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like, we have to do 20 of these. And then by next week, we got to turn it in. So, and with the code and how we coded it and all of that, I didn't want to do it. I did like a few of them. And then the other guy that lived in the dorm with me at the time, he was a fucking genius. He like used, like what's that? OS that Linux. He used Linux, not Windows.
Or Linux.
Yeah. He used Linux and he was just telling me how great it is. And I was like, I don't fucking know. I don't care. So he was like, dude, I could do it for you. And he was just down. He was like, all right. So I gave it to him. Yeah. And he did it for me. And then I turned it in. I was like, yeah, it's done. It works. The program works and all that. And the teacher goes, okay, how'd you build it? And I goes, well, you know, this is where you put your input. This is all that. And I was like, great. And he was like, I didn't teach you any of this. And I was like, well, I had a tutor help me. Right. And then this is when I was like, dude, programming's not, because the teacher that I was talking to grilled, I think it was like Miss Murphy or something like that. She grilled the shit out of me, right, in front of class. And I was all like, fuck, dude. She like pulled me up and then because she literally went like, this is an exceptional paper. And I was like, great. And then she pulled me up and then she was all like, how'd you do this? And she put it on the screen. And I was all like, well, you know, you got to put your inputs and you got to do that. And this is in front of like, this is college, right? So there's like a lot of people. And then I was like, all right, well, you know, you got to do it. And I was like, well, you know, I had a tutor and they were helping me a lot. And then
she cut your bullshit.
Yeah, she cut my bullshit and she wanted to embarrass me in front of the class.
Oh, God.
And I was all like,
that's one of the worst feelings as a kid growing up. And not even as a kid. I feel like an adult, especially when the teacher's willing to put you in front of the class. Yeah. It's bad. But that's another episode on its own. But
that was when I was like, dude, programming's not for me.
What I was trying to say was there was something trending on Twitter. There was this Asian kid from UCLA and he graduated. And on his graduation day, the graduation cameras were on him. He pulled out his laptop and he showed all his projects that were done on ChatGPT. He was flexing all the projects he finished on ChatGPT. And then everybody at that celebration was commenting like, should this guy get a degree? Because he just cheated. He literally just showed that he cheated his way on. He was flexing that ChatGPT did it for him. So now there's like a debate going on if should he get a degree or not. Crazy, right? Yeah, dummy. Anyways, yeah.
Cheating. Well, technically, if you were to use chat, it's a resource that is, it's forever. It's going to last forever.
Right.
It's kind of like the argument of, you know how back then we're like, you should memorize these numbers, like you memorize your times tables because calculators are not going to be readily available all the time.
Right.
Calculator right here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like we've evolved so far ahead of like tools that we can use to make life easier.
Right.
So if you want to get into a little more ethical conversation about it, but he's using a tool that's probably going to be only improving as the time gets on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like by the time he graduates and is in the job market, we're going to have a fucking ChatGPT.
What did we have? What did we have we had flip phones, right? We had flip phones and sidekicks. Sidekicks was the most obvious one you can cheat off of. You hear the and the teacher would be like, put that away.
Don't pull it out.
Me. Don't pull it out. Yeah, I mean,
like, put it away or I'm taking it.
Shit, that's what we had. Or like, a lot of people, there were open book tests as well, and there were notes in the book. Like literally, people would write on the fucking book, dude. Oh man,
highlight that shit it's all there. We didn't have all the resources.
Writing on the wrist. I've seen those. A big ass note, long ass scripture.
Pull up the sleeve, put it back down.
This was before sleeve tattoos, man. You had sleeve notes on your fucking forearm, man. Just trying to cheat your way, but I guess you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And, guys, we want to find out what you may have done in school. Were you a cheater? Were you not? If you weren't, we respect you. If you were, we also respect you.
No, I don't believe you.
You did what you had to
cheater.
do.
You are a cheater. Everyone's a fucking cheater.
See, look at this guy. This is the guy that... This is the guy that bullied Alan Wu.
Shut the fuck up. Look, you probably need to, you got a cookbook, right? You're cheating. You got to memorize that recipe.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Anyways.
Everyone's a fucking cheater.
If you are, or if you aren't, reach out to us. Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Drop a comment. Like Marcel does, and he likes to, make fun of Goose and the rest of the 3 Dot podcast. Hey, but you know what though? We actually love that shit. If you interacting is good for the channel. And we also want to say we appreciate everybody for subscribing to us. I think up to this date, whenever this releases, we're at like 103, 102 subscriptions.
We're up there, yeah.
We already beat our goal of 50 subscriptions for the season, so we appreciate that. But hey, if you have any stories that you want to share about cheating, we'd love to hear it. And, maybe next time around we could have Goose talk about this because I'm sure he has stories of his own.
Oh, he's going to come up in.
I'm sure he was a cheater himself in class.
Fresh? Yeah. He for sure is a cheater.
Yeah, he was.
In more ways than one.
Well, was that chaotic?
No, he's called the king for a reason.
Anyways, guys, my name is Bogzy.
I'm D-Buster.
And that is...
Chaotic.
And this is the 3 Dot podcast where the conversation does not stop. Study up. All right.
Don't cheat,
man.
At least for the big tests.
Yeah.
You gotta know what. Look,
save your ammunition for later.
If you're an engineer and you cheated your way through that, I want you touching a blueprint because you're gonna build that shit wrong and it's gonna fall.
Can you imagine?
Everyone's gonna blame you.
If I ended up being an engineer, whatever I would build, that shit would fall apart. That's just the truth.
Dude, imagine being a cheater.